Have you ever walked into a room and felt like everyone else had a secret language you didn't understand? Like they were reading each other's minds while you stood there blind and confused, wondering what you were missing? You're not broken. You're not socially damaged. You just haven't been taught the one skill that changes everything: the ability to read people the way you read words on a page. Most people spend their entire lives guessing what others think, hoping they're liked, afraid they're being lied to, nervous they're missing the truth hiding right in front of them. But there's a different kind of person walking this earth. Someone who sees through masks. Someone who notices the micro-expression that flashes across a face for half a second and knows exactly what it means. Someone who hears not just words, but the silence between them, the hesitation before the answer, the shift in tone that reveals everything. This person isn't magical. They're not born with superpowers. They simply learned to pay attention. They trained their brain to notice what everyone else ignores. And that's who you're becoming. Right now. Today. You're stepping into a version of yourself that no longer gets fooled, manipulated, or left in the dark. You're becoming someone who walks into any conversation, any meeting, any relationship, and sees the truth. Not because you're paranoid, not because you're suspicious, but because you've sharpened your awareness to a level most people never reach. This audiobook isn't about tricks or gimmicks. It's not about catching liars or playing mind games. It's about something far more powerful. Understanding human nature so deeply that people become transparent to you. You'll learn to read body language the way a musician reads sheet music. You'll decode vocal patterns like a detective analyzing evidence. You'll spot emotional leaks, hidden intentions, and unspoken desires without anyone knowing you're doing it. And the best part? Once you learn this, you can't unlearn it. Your brain will automatically start scanning, processing, noticing. You'll walk through life with a new lens, seeing layers of reality that were always there but invisible to you before. Some people will call it intuition. Others will think you're incredibly perceptive. But you'll know the truth. You simply learn to read the book that every human being is constantly writing with their face, their voice, their movements, their eyes. This is not a passive skill. This is a superpower, and by the end of this journey, you'll have it. So stop guessing, stop wondering, stop living in the dark. Start reading people like the open books they are. Start now. Chapter 1. The language nobody taught you. Every single day, people are screaming their thoughts at you without saying a word, and you're missing it because nobody ever taught you how to listen with your eyes. Right now, someone is lying to you, and their body is confessing the truth. Right now, someone likes you more than they're saying, and their face is leaking that secret. Right now, someone is afraid, angry, excited, or hiding something massive, and if you knew what to look for, you'd see it as clearly as reading these words. But most people walk through life deaf and blind to this language, and that's why they get hurt, betrayed, confused, and left behind. You're not going to be most people anymore. You're becoming someone who sees. The human body is the worst liar on the planet. Your mouth can say whatever it wants, but your shoulders, your hands, your feet, your eyebrows, even the way you breathe, they're all snitches. They sell you out every single time. Scientists call it non-verbal communication. But that makes it sound boring and academic when it's actually the most powerful tool you'll ever learn. About 60 to 90% of all human communication happens without words. Let that sink in. The majority of what people are telling you has nothing to do with what's coming out of their mouth. Scientists call it non-verbal communication. But that makes it sound boring and academic when it's actually the most powerful tool you'll ever learn. About 60 to 90% of all human communication happens without words. Let that sink in. The majority of what people are telling you has nothing to do with what's coming out of their mouth. Scientists call it non-verbal communication. But that makes it sound boring and academic when it's actually the most powerful tool you'll ever learn. About 60 to 90% of all human communication happens without words. Let that sink in. The majority of what people are telling you has nothing to do with what's coming out of their mouth. And you've been ignoring it your whole life. Not anymore. Here's what's really happening when two people talk. Person A says something. Person B hears the words, but also watches 50 tiny signals firing off. Pupil dilation, nostril flare, jaw clench, shoulder drop, hand fidget, foot angle, eye dart, lip press, breathing shift. Most people catch maybe 2 or 3 of these signals and then get confused because the words don't match the body. But you're going to train yourself to catch all 50. That's the difference between someone who guesses and someone who knows. Start with the eyes because that's where most people think they should look. But they're looking wrong. 80% of all human communication happens without words. Let that sink in. The majority of what people are telling you has nothing to do with what's coming out of their mouth. And you've been ignoring it your whole life. Not anymore. Here's what's really happening when two people talk. Person A says something. Person B hears the words, but also watches 50 tiny signals firing off. Pupil dilation, nostril flare, jaw clench, shoulder drop, hand fidget, foot angle, eye dart, lip press, breathing shift. And you've been ignoring it your whole life. Not anymore. Here's what's really happening when two people talk. Person A says something. Person B hears the words, but also watches 50 tiny signals firing off. Pupil dilation, nostril flare, jaw clench, shoulder drop, hand fidget, foot angle, eye dart, lip press, breathing shift. Most people catch maybe 2 or 3 of these signals and then get confused because the words don't match the body. But you're going to train yourself to catch all 50. That's the difference between someone who guesses and someone who knows. Start with the eyes because that's where most people think they should look. But they're looking wrong. They stare at someone's eyes trying to read them like there's going to be a giant neon sign flashing the truth. That's not how it works. You're not looking for meaning in the eyes themselves. You're looking for deviation from baseline. Here's what that means. Everyone has a normal, a resting state, the way they naturally hold their face when they're calm and neutral. Maybe their eyes are slightly squinted. Maybe one eyebrow sits higher than the other. Maybe they blink. Most people catch maybe 2 or 3 of these signals and then get confused because the words don't match the body. But you're going to train yourself to catch all 50. That's the difference between someone who guesses and someone who knows. Start with the eyes because that's where most people think they should look. But they're looking wrong. Think fast or slow. That's their baseline. Your job is to learn someone's baseline fast, then watch for any change. When someone deviates from baseline, that's when the truth leaks out. To block out reality. If you tell someone bad news and they close their eyes for 2 seconds, they're trying to make it disappear. If you propose an idea and they rub their eyes or look down immediately, they hate it, even if they say they'll think about it. Eye blocking is rejection in real time. Catch it and you'll know exactly how someone feels before they do. Now move down to the mouth because people think smiling means happy. But that's child-level thinking. There are at least 18 different types of smiles, and only one of them is real. The real smile is called a Duchenne smile, named after a scientist who studied facial muscles. A real smile activates 2 muscle groups, the zygomatic major, which pulls your mouth up, and the orbicularis oculi, which crinkles the skin around your eyes. Fake smiles only use the mouth. The eyes stay dead. That's how you know. If someone smiles at you, but their eyes are flat, they're performing. If the skin around their eyes wrinkles and lifts, that's genuine. Start checking every smile you see today. You'll be shocked how many are fake. Watch how fast the smile appears and disappears too. Real smiles build gradually and fade slowly. Fake smiles snap on like a light switch and vanish just as fast. If someone smiles at you instantly, no build-up, it's probably politeness or manipulation. And here's a secret most people miss. A real smile isn't always about happiness. Sometimes it's about relief or nervousness or even submission. Context matters. Someone might smile when they're scared because it's a survival instinct, trying to calm a threat. Someone might smile when they're lying because they're trying to convince you they're trustworthy. You need to pair the smile with everything else happening. Is their body relaxed or tense? Are their hands open or closed? Wrinkles and lifts? That's genuine. Start checking every smile you see today. You'll be shocked how many are fake. Watch how fast the smile appears and disappears too. Selves, because they're constantly moving, even when someone isn't talking. Lip biting, lip licking, lip pressing, lip pursing. All of these are emotional leaks. Selves, because they're constantly moving, even when someone isn't talking. Lip biting, lip licking, lip pressing, lip pursing. All of these are emotional leaks. When someone bites their lip, they're usually holding something back. Maybe a comment, maybe a feeling, maybe a truth they don't want to say. When someone licks their lips, when someone bites their lip, they're usually holding something back. Maybe a comment, maybe a feeling, maybe a truth they don't want to say. When someone licks their lips, they're either nervous or preparing to speak. Your brain produces less saliva when you're anxious, so people lick their lips to compensate. They're either nervous or preparing to speak. Your brain produces less saliva when you're anxious, so people lick their lips to compensate. When someone presses their lips into a thin line, they're blocking expression. They're literally sealing their mouth shut because they don't trust what might come out. When someone presses their lips into a thin line, they're blocking expression. They're literally sealing their mouth shut because they don't trust what might come out. When lips purse like they're about to kiss the air, that's disagreement. It's the body's way of saying no without words. If you're in a meeting and someone purses their lips after you, when lips purse like they're about to kiss the air, that's disagreement. It's the body's way of saying no without words. If you're in a meeting and someone purses their lips after you speak, they don't agree even if they nod their head. The lips told the truth. The head lied. Now go wider. Look at the whole face. Faces leak micro-expressions, flashes of emotion that last less than half a second. These are involuntary. You can't stop them. They happen before your brain senses them. Speak. They don't agree even if they nod their head. The lips told the truth. The head lied. Now go wider. Look at the whole face. Faces leak micro-expressions, flashes of emotion that last less than half a second. These are involuntary. You can't stop them. They happen before your brain senses them. Expressions in real life without effort. Anger flashes fast, eyebrows down and together, lips tight, eyes narrowed. Fear shows in wide eyes, raised eyebrows, open mouth. Disgust wrinkles the nose and raises the upper lip like you're smelling garbage. Contempt is one-sided, a smirk on just one side of the mouth, showing superiority and disrespect. Surprise lifts everything, eyebrows up, eyes wide, jaw dropped. Sadness pulls everything down, mouth corners, eyebrows, eyelids. Happiness we already covered. Learn these 7 and you'll read people faster than they can lie. But here's the level up move. Read clusters, not singles. One signal alone means almost nothing. Someone crosses their arms. Maybe they're cold. Maybe they're comfortable. Maybe they're defensive. You don't know yet. But if they cross their arms and also lean back and avoid eye contact and press their lips and angle their body away, now you have a cluster. That's a defensive, closed-off, rejecting posture. Clusters don't lie. Always look for 3 or more signals pointing in the same direction before you make a conclusion. If someone scratches their nose once, it's just an itch. If they scratch their nose, touch their face, look away, shift their weight and stumble over words all at once, they're probably lying. The body confesses in groups, not in solos. Here's a tiny detail that changes everything. Watch the neck. When someone is stressed, uncertain, or lying, they'll often touch their neck. It's called a pacifying gesture. The neck is vulnerable, full of nerve endings, and when we're anxious, we instinctively soothe ourselves by touching it. Women often touch the little notch at the base of the throat. Men adjust their collar or rub the back of their neck. If someone scratches their nose once, it's just an itch. If they scratch their nose, touch their face, look away, shift their weight and stumble over words all at once, they're probably lying. The body confesses in groups, not in solos. Here's a tiny detail that changes everything. Watch the neck. When someone is stressed, uncertain, they're probably lying. The body confesses in groups, not in solos. Here's a tiny detail that changes everything. Watch the neck. When someone is stressed, uncertain, or lying, they'll often touch their neck. It's called a pacifying gesture. The neck is vulnerable, full of nerve endings, and when we're anxious, we instinctively soothe ourselves by touching it. Women often touch the little notch at the base of the throat. Men adjust their collar or rub the back of their neck. If someone does this while answering your question, their body is trying to calm itself because the question made them uncomfortable. That's a clue. Another pacifying move. Ventilating. When people get hot from stress, they'll pull their shirt away from their chest to let air in. Or they'll fan themselves, or adjust their collar. Or lying, they'll often touch their neck. It's called a pacifying gesture. The neck is vulnerable, full of nerve endings, and when we're anxious, we instinctively soothe ourselves by touching it. Women often touch the little notch at the base of the throat. Men adjust their collar or rub the back of their neck. If you're asking tough questions and someone suddenly needs air, you just hit a nerve. And here's one of the most reliable signals on the planet. The shoulder shrug. When someone says something, but their shoulders shrug, even a tiny bit, they're unsure. They don't believe what they're saying. If someone says, "I'm fine," but their shoulders lift slightly, if someone does this while answering your question, their body is trying to calm itself because the question made them uncomfortable. That's a clue. Another pacifying move. Ventilating. When people get hot from stress, they'll pull their shirt away from their chest to let air in. Or they'll fan themselves, or adjust their collar. Authority. If someone steeples while talking, they believe what they're saying. If they stop steepling and start fidgeting, they just lost confidence. Watch for the shift. Finger drumming, pen clicking, nail biting, hair twirling, all signs of anxiety or impatience. If someone is doing any of these while you talk, they're either bored, nervous, or ready to leave. Don't ignore it. Adjust, speed up, or shift topics. Their body just told you they're done listening. Here's a power move you need to master. The handshake read. In 3 seconds of shaking someone's hand, you can learn if they're dominant, submissive, confident, or insecure. A palm-down handshake means they want control. They're trying to dominate. A palm-up handshake means submission. They're giving you control. A vertical equal handshake means respect and balance. Grip strength matters too. Too strong is overcompensation. Too weak is disinterest or insecurity. Just right is quiet confidence. And here's the secret move nobody talks about. Duration. A normal handshake lasts 2 to 3 seconds. If someone holds longer, they're either overly friendly or trying to manipulate you. If they let go too fast, they don't want to be there. Pay attention to how long someone holds your hand. It's a respect meter. Now let's talk about the torso, because the direction someone's body faces is more honest than their words. If someone is talking to you, but their torso is angled away, they want to leave. The direction someone's body faces is more honest than their words. If someone is talking to you, but their torso is angled away, they want to leave. If their feet are pointed toward the door, they want to leave. If their shoulders are squared to you, they're engaged. The torso doesn't lie about interest. You can fake a smile, you can fake eye contact, but your torso will always point toward what you want and away from what you don't. If you're talking to someone and their body slowly turns away, if their feet are pointed toward the door, they want to leave. If their shoulders are squared to you, they're engaged. The torso doesn't lie about interest. You can fake a smile, you can fake eye contact, but your torso will always point toward what you want and away from what you don't. If you're talking to someone and their body slowly turns away, you've lost them. Wrap it up. If their body turns toward you more, keep going. You've got their attention. Arms crossed is not always defensive. Sometimes it's comfort. But if someone crosses their arms right after you say something, that's rejection. Timing matters. If arms were open and then suddenly close, you just said something they didn't like. Watch for the change, not the position. Leaning in means interest. Leaning back means evaluation or retreat. If someone leans back and crosses their arms and breaks eye contact all at once, you've been rejected. Move on. If someone leans in, opens their posture, nods and maintains eye contact, you've got them. Where the magic happens. Feet are the most honest part of the body because nobody thinks about them. Your face might lie. Your hands might lie. But your feet always tell the truth. If someone's feet are pointed toward you, they're engaged. If their feet point away or toward an exit, they mentally left the conversation already. If you're talking to someone and their feet suddenly shift toward the door, you just lost them. If someone is sitting and their legs are crossed toward you, they're open. If legs cross away from you, they're closed off. If someone is standing and one foot starts tapping or bouncing, they're anxious, impatient, or ready to move. If both feet are planted and still, they're grounded and present. Foot behavior is subconscious. People don't think about it, so it leaks truth. Start watching feet in every conversation, and you'll know who wants to stay and who wants to run. Here's the ultimate hack. Mirroring. When people like each other, they subconsciously copy each other's body language. If you lean left, they lean left. If you cross your legs, they cross theirs. If you pick up your drink, they pick up theirs. This is called the chameleon effect, and it happens automatically when rapport is strong. So here's how you use it. If you want to know if someone likes you, make a subtle gesture and see if they copy it within the next minute. Scratch your face, shift your posture, pick up a pen. If they mirror you, they're connected. If they don't, rapport is weak. And here's the power move. You can create rapport by mirroring them first. Copy their posture, match their energy, reflect their gestures. Do this subtly, and their brain will start to feel comfortable with you without knowing why. Mirroring is influence. Master it. But don't over-mirror or you'll look like a creep. Keep it natural. Match energy, not every single move. Now let's talk about baselines again, because this is critical. You can't read anyone accurately without knowing they're normal. Some people naturally fidget. Some people always avoid eye contact because of anxiety or culture. Some people are naturally expressive. Some are stone-faced. If you judge everyone by the same standard, you'll get it wrong. Your job is to observe someone in a neutral, low-stress moment first. Watch how they sit, stand, talk, gesture, blink, breathe when nothing important is happening. That's baseline. Then, when you ask a tough question or introduce a stressful topic, compare their behavior to baseline. Any deviation is meaningful. If someone who never touches their face suddenly touches it 5 times in 10 seconds, that's significant. If someone who always gestures wildly suddenly goes still, that's significant. Baseline first, deviation second, that's the formula. Here's a micro habit that will change your life. Every time you meet someone new, spend the first 2 minutes just watching. Don't try to impress them, don't perform, just observe. How do they stand? How do they hold their hands? How often do they blink? How do they smile? Lock in their baseline fast, and for the rest of the interaction, keep it natural. Match energy, not every single move. Now let's talk about baselines again, because this is critical. You can't read anyone accurately without knowing they're normal. Some people naturally fidget. Some people always avoid eye contact because of anxiety or culture. Some people are naturally expressive, behind the words. Most people think listening means hearing words, but that's like reading a book and only looking at the punctuation. You're missing the entire story. The real message isn't in what someone says. It's in how they say it. Right now, someone's voice is betraying them. The pitch changed, the pace shifted, the volume dropped. Behind the words. Most people think listening means hearing words, but that's like reading a book and only looking at the punctuation. You're missing the entire story. The real message isn't in what someone says. It's in how they say it. Right now, someone's voice is betraying them. The pitch changed, the pace shifted, the volume dropped. A word got stressed that shouldn't have been. A pause lasted too long. And if you knew what to listen for, you'd hear the confession screaming behind every sentence. This is vocal analysis, and it's one of the most powerful reading tools you'll ever own because people can rehearse their words, but they can't rehearse their voice. A word got stressed that shouldn't have been. A pause lasted too long. And if you knew what to listen for, you'd hear the confession screaming behind every sentence. This is vocal analysis, and it's one of the most powerful reading tools you'll ever own because people can rehearse their words, but they can't rehearse their voice. The body leaks truth through tension, hesitation, rhythm, and sound. Your job is to become a voice detective, catching every clue hidden in the tone, tempo, and texture of speech. Let's start with pitch because it's the easiest gateway into someone's emotional state. When people get excited, scared, or stressed, their vocal cords tighten and pitch rises. The body leaks truth through tension, hesitation, rhythm, and sound. Your job is to become a voice detective, catching every clue hidden in the tone, tempo, and texture of speech. Let's start with pitch because it's the easiest gateway into someone's emotional state. When people get excited, scared, or stressed, their vocal cords tighten and pitch rises because they're overcompensating. If someone's volume suddenly drops mid-sentence, they're either ashamed of what they're saying or unsure. If volume spikes, they're either passionate or defensive. Both are useful data. Watch for the drop especially. When people lie or share something uncomfortable, they often get quieter, like their voice is trying to hide. If you ask someone a question and they answer in a near whisper, they don't want to own that answer. If someone who normally speaks loud suddenly goes soft, you just touched a nerve. Conversely, if someone gets louder when defending a point, they're trying to drown out doubt with volume. It's a confidence mask. They're hoping if they say it loud enough, you'll believe it and stop asking questions. But volume without substance is just noise. Listen through it. Pace is where most people reveal everything. Fast talkers are either excited, nervous, or hiding something. Slow talkers are either thoughtful, depressed, or trying to control the narrative. But more important than overall pace is the change in pace. If someone normally talks fast but suddenly slows down on a specific answer, they're buying time. They're constructing the answer as they go, which means it's not coming from memory. It's being invented. If someone talks slow but suddenly speeds up, they're rushing past something they don't want you to focus on. When liars get to the part of the story they made up, they often speed through it, hoping you won't catch the holes. When truth-tellers describe something emotional, they slow down because they're reliving it. Pace reveals process. Fast equals avoidance or excitement. Slow equals construction or pain. Listen for the gear shift. It tells you when someone moved from truth to fiction. Here's a micro-behavior that's incredibly reliable. The pause. Pauses are powerful. A natural pause is when someone takes a breath or collects their thoughts for a second. That's normal. They're rushing past something they don't want you to focus on. When liars get to the part of the story they made up, they often speed through it, hoping you won't catch the holes. When truth-tellers describe something emotional, they slow down because they're reliving it. Pace reveals process. Fast equals avoidance or excitement. But an unnatural pause, right before answering a simple question, is a red flag. If you ask someone, "Did you eat my leftovers?" and there's a 2-second pause before "No, they ate your leftovers," the pause was them deciding whether to lie, how to lie, or what excuse to add. Truth doesn't need a pause. Slow equals construction or pain. Listen for the gear shift. It tells you when someone moved from truth to fiction. Here's a micro-behavior that's incredibly reliable. The pause. Pauses are powerful. A natural pause is when someone takes a breath or collects their thoughts for a second. That's normal. But an unnatural pause, right before answering a simple question, is a red flag. If you ask someone, "Did you eat my leftovers?" and there's a 2-second pause before "No, they ate your leftovers," the pause was them deciding whether to lie, how to lie, or what excuse to add. Truth doesn't need a pause. They're rushing past something they don't want you to focus on. When liars get to the part of the story they made up, they often speed through it, hoping you won't catch the holes. When truth-tellers describe something emotional, they slow down because they're reliving it. Pace reveals process. Fast equals avoidance or excitement. A wallet versus "I didn't steal your wallet" versus "I didn't steal your wallet." Same sentence, 4 different meanings. First one emphasizes "I," meaning someone else did. Second emphasizes "steal," meaning maybe they borrowed it. Third emphasizes "your," meaning they stole someone else's wallet. Fourth emphasizes "wallet," meaning they stole something else of yours. People don't consciously think about where they place stress, which makes it incredibly honest. If you ask someone if they cheated and they say, "I did not cheat," the stress on "not" means they're trying to convince you. If they say, "I didn't cheat," calm and even, it's more believable. Overemphasis is overcompensation. When someone stresses a word that doesn't need stress, they're trying too hard to sell it. Truth doesn't need a sales pitch, lies do. Listen for the unnecessary emphasis. It's doubt dressed up as certainty. Let's go deeper. Tone of voice. Tone is emotional color. It can be warm, cold, sarcastic, angry, flat, excited. And tone doesn't lie. You can say, "I'm happy for you," in a tone that clearly communicates you're not happy at all. Tone overrides words every time. If there's a mismatch between words and tone, always believe the tone. Tone is subconscious, words are conscious. Subconscious wins. Here, truth doesn't need a sales pitch, lies do. Listen for the unnecessary emphasis. It's doubt dressed up as certainty. Let's go deeper. Tone of voice. Tone is emotional color. It can be warm, cold, sarcastic, angry, flat, excited. And tone doesn't lie. You can say, "I'm happy for you," in a tone that clearly communicates you're not happy at all. It's how to read tone. Warm tone equals genuine positive emotion. Cold tone equals detachment or hostility. Flat tone equals depression, exhaustion, or emotional shutdown. Great in a flat tone, it's not great to them. If someone says, "I'm not mad," in a sharp tone, they're definitely mad. The tone is the truth. Sarcastic tone equals hidden aggression or disrespect. Sharp tone equals irritation or impatience. Soft tone equals affection, submission, or fear. If someone says, "That's great," in a flat tone, it's not great to them. If someone says, "I'm not mad," in a sharp tone, they're definitely mad. The tone is the truth. The words are the cover. Train yourself to listen to tone first, words second. Most people do the opposite, and that's why they get confused. Tone is the headline. Words are the fine print. Here's a subtle one most people miss. Vocal fry. That creaky, grinding sound some people make at the end of sentences, especially young women. The words are the cover. Train yourself to listen to tone first, words second. Most people do the opposite, and that's why they get confused. Tone is the headline. Words are the fine print. Here's a subtle one most people miss. Vocal fry. That creaky, grinding sound some people make at the end of sentences, especially young women. Vocal fry happens when vocal cords are relaxed and air passes through slowly. It's often a sign of boredom, disinterest, or trying to sound casual and unaffected. If someone suddenly starts using vocal fry when they normally don't, they're trying to downplay something. They're acting like they don't care when they actually do. Vocal fry happens when vocal cords are relaxed and air passes through slowly. It's often a sign of boredom, disinterest, or trying to sound casual and unaffected. If someone suddenly starts using vocal fry when they normally don't, they're trying to downplay something. They're acting like they don't care when they actually do. It's a vocal mask. On the flip side, uptalk, ending sentences with a rising pitch like everything is a question, signals insecurity or seeking approval. If someone says, "I finished the report," with a rising pitch, they're not confident about it. They're checking if you approve. Uptalk is uncertainty made audible. Their body is managing stress. It's a pacifying behavior, just like touching the neck. The swallow is the voice version of a nervous fidget. Catch it, and you know they're uncomfortable. Now let's talk about speech patterns, because everyone has a rhythm, and when that rhythm breaks, truth is leaking. Some people talk in long, flowing sentences. Some people talk in short bursts. Some people use complex vocabulary. Some keep it simple. Baseline matters again. If someone normally speaks in paragraphs but suddenly gives you one-word answers, they shut down. If someone is usually concise but suddenly rambles for 5 minutes without saying anything clear, they're avoiding. Pattern breaks are truth breaks. Here's a specific pattern to watch. Pronoun dropping. Liars often avoid saying I because subconsciously they don't want to own the lie. Instead of "I didn't go there," they'll say "didn't go there." Instead of "I finished the work," they'll say "the work got finished." They distance themselves linguistically. If someone suddenly stops using first-person pronouns, they're detaching from what they're saying. It's a psychological escape hatch. They're trying not to lie directly. But the absence of I is the confession. Also watch for verb tense issues. Liars sometimes mix past and present tense because they're imagining a story instead of remembering it. I went to the store and I buy milk, instead of I went to the store and I bought milk. The tense slip reveals construction. Memory stays in past tense. Imagination drifts into present. If someone messes up tenses while telling you what happened, they're making it up as they go. Here's another killer tell. Over-explaining. When people tell the truth, they give you the facts and stop. When people lie, they pile on details, justifications, explanations you didn't ask for. They're trying to make the lie bulletproof by adding layers. If you ask someone where they were and they say "I was at home," that's simple. If they say "I was at home," just sitting on the couch, watching TV, "I think it was that show you mentioned last week. Or maybe it was the news. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, definitely home." That's suspicious. Why all the extra detail? Because they're trying to convince you. Truth is clean. Lies are messy. Listen for unnecessary elaboration. It's insecurity wearing a disguise. And here's the opposite problem, under-explaining. Sometimes liars give you almost nothing. Super short answers. No detail. If you ask, "What did you do last night?" and someone says nothing, that's evasive. Most people naturally share a little detail. Watched a movie. Hung out with friends. Something. Nothing is a wall. It's a refusal to engage. If someone gives you walls instead of answers, they're hiding. Push gently. Ask follow-ups. See if the wall cracks. Now let's talk about vocal qualifiers, because these are sneaky truth leaks. Qualifiers are words like honestly, to be honest, truthfully, I swear, believe me. Why would someone need to tell you they're being honest unless they're worried you won't believe them? Most of the time, just sitting on the couch, watching TV. "I think it was that show you mentioned last week. Or maybe it was the news. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, just sitting on the couch, watching TV. "I think it was that show you mentioned last week. Or maybe it was the news. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, definitely home." That's suspicious. Why all the extra detail? Because they're trying to convince you. Truth is clean. Lies are messy. Listen for unnecessary elaboration. It's insecurity wearing a disguise. And here's the opposite problem, under-explaining. Sometimes liars give you almost nothing. Super short answers. If someone stops claiming ownership of relationships or things linguistically, something shifted emotionally. If your partner suddenly refers to the bedroom instead of our bedroom, there's a connection problem. Language reveals intimacy or lack of it. Pay attention to possessive pronouns. They tell you how someone feels about what they're talking about. Let's talk about laughter, because not all laughs are happy. Nervous laughter is incredibly common and incredibly revealing. When someone laughs at something that isn't funny, especially their own statement, they're uncomfortable. They're trying to lighten the emotional weight. If you confront someone and they laugh, they're not amused. They're stressed. Laughter can be a release valve for tension. It can also be mockery, deflection, or a stalling tactic. Listen to when someone laughs. If it doesn't match the moment, it's masking something. Here's a vocal phenomenon that's pure gold: the Freudian slip. When someone accidentally says what they're actually thinking instead of what they're stressed. Laughter can be a release valve for tension. It can also be mockery, deflection, or a stalling tactic. Listen to when someone laughs. If it doesn't match the moment, it's masking something. Here's a vocal phenomenon that's pure gold: the Freudian slip. When someone accidentally says what they're actually thinking instead of what they're stressed. Laughter can be a release valve for tension. It can also be mockery, deflection, or a stalling tactic. Listen to when someone laughs. If it doesn't match the moment, it's masking something. Here's a vocal phenomenon that's pure gold: the Freudian slip. When someone accidentally says what they're actually thinking instead of what they match the moment, it's masking something. Here's a vocal phenomenon that's pure gold: the Freudian slip. When someone accidentally says what they're actually thinking instead of what they meant to say. I love spending time with them. That slip wasn't random. The truth came out first. The brain leaked the real feeling before the mouth corrected it. Slips are rare, but when they happen, they're confessions. Don't ignore them. Don't laugh them off. Lock them in. That was truth unfiltered. Now let's talk about silence, because silence is a language too. When you ask someone a question and they go completely silent, that silence is an answer. It might mean they're shocked. It might mean they're guilty. It might mean they're carefully choosing words. Whatever it means, it's significant. Most people rush to fill silence because it's uncomfortable. But if you're reading someone, let the silence sit. See what they do with it. If they crack and start talking just to end the silence, you've got power. If they hold the silence and stare at you, they've got power. Silence is a battle. Whoever speaks first often loses. Use it strategically. Here's a micro habit that will sharpen your ears. Record yourself your whole life and you didn't catch it because you weren't listening right. You heard words and believed them. You ignored pitch, pace, pauses, tone, emphasis, breath. But now you're different. Now you're becoming someone who listens in layers. Someone who hears the confession hidden in the hesitation. Someone who catches the truth in the tremor. This is your new skill. This is your upgrade. Stop listening to what people say. Start listening to how they say it. The voice is a lie detector you carry everywhere. Learn to use it. Train your ears the way you trained your eyes. Listen for deviations. Listen for stress. Listen for silence. And when someone's voice betrays them, you'll hear it clear as day. That's the power you're building. That's who you're becoming. Someone who hears truth even when mouths are lying. Start listening differently today. Every conversation is practice. Every voice is a puzzle. And you're getting better at solving them every single time. Chapter 3. The stories people tell themselves. Every person you meet is walking around with a movie playing in their head. And if you can figure out what movie they're watching, you can predict exactly what they'll do next. Most people think they're around with a movie playing in their head. And if you can figure out what movie they're watching, you can predict exactly what they'll do next. Most people think they're around with a movie playing in their head, and if you can figure out what movie they're watching, you can predict exactly what they'll do next. Most people think they're logical, rational, make decisions based on facts. But that's the biggest lie humans tell themselves. The truth is, everyone is running on a story, around with a movie playing in their head. And if you can figure out what movie they're watching, you can predict exactly what they'll do next. Most people think they're logical, rational, make decisions based on facts. But that's the biggest lie humans tell themselves. The truth is, everyone is running on a story. They're logical, rational, make decisions based on facts. But that's the biggest lie humans tell themselves. The truth is, everyone is running on a story. They're logical, rational, make decisions based on facts. But that's the biggest lie humans tell themselves. The truth is, everyone is running on a story. A narrative they built about who they are, what the world is, what they deserve, what's possible. And that story controls everything, their choices, their reactions. A narrative they built about who they are, what the world is, what they deserve, what's possible. And that story controls everything, their choices, their reactions. A narrative they built about who they are, what the world is, what they deserve, what's possible. And that story controls everything, their choices, their reactions, their fears, their desires. You're not reading people, you're reading their story. And once you crack the code, you'll see the plot before they do. A narrative they built about who they are, what the world is, what they deserve, what's possible. And that story controls everything, their choices, their reactions, their fears, their desires. You're not reading people, you're reading their story. And once you crack the code, you'll see the plot before they do. Their fears, their desires. You're not reading people, you're reading their story. And once you crack the code, you'll see the plot before they do. Their fears, their desires. You're not reading people, you're reading their story. And once you crack the code, you'll see the plot before they do. Here's what most people miss. Humans don't experience reality. They experience their interpretation of reality. Two people go through the same event and walk away. Here's what most people miss. Humans don't experience reality. They experience their interpretation of reality. Two people go through the same event and walk away. Here's what most people miss. Humans don't experience reality. They experience their interpretation of reality. Two people go through the same event and walk away. Here's what most people miss. Humans don't experience reality. They experience their interpretation of reality. Two people go through the same event and walk away with completely different stories about what happened. One person gets rejected for a job and thinks, I'm not good enough. Another person gets rejected and thinks that company wasn't there, with completely different stories about what happened. One person gets rejected for a job and thinks, I'm not good enough. Another person gets rejected and thinks that company wasn't there, with completely different stories about what happened. One person gets rejected for a job and thinks, I'm not good enough. Another person gets rejected and thinks that company wasn't the right fit. Same event, different story, different future. Your job is to figure out which story someone is telling themselves, because that story is the lens they see, with completely different stories about what happened. One person gets rejected for a job and thinks, I'm not good enough. Another person gets rejected and thinks that company wasn't the right fit. Same event, different story, different future. Your job is to figure out which story someone is telling themselves, because that story is the lens they see everything through. If someone believes they're a victim, every situation becomes proof of victimhood. If someone believes they're a winner, every setback becomes a setup for a comeback. Right fit. Same event, different story, different future. Your job is to figure out which story someone is telling themselves, because that story is the lens they see everything through. If someone believes they're a victim, every situation becomes proof of victimhood. If someone believes they're a winner, every setback becomes a setup for a comeback. Right fit. Same event, different story, different future. Your job is to figure out which story someone is telling themselves, because that story is the lens they see everything through. If someone believes they're a victim, every situation becomes proof of victimhood. If someone believes they're a winner, every setback becomes a setup for a comeback. See everything through. If someone believes they're a victim, every situation becomes proof of victimhood. If someone believes they're a winner, Every setback becomes a setup for a comeback. The excuse keeps the story alive. If they succeeded in the morning, the story would crack. So the excuse prevents effort. If someone says, "I'm just not good with money," that's not a fact, it's a story. And as long as they believe it, they'll avoid learning about money, make bad financial choices, and stay broke. Because being good with money would contradict the story. The excuse is the guard at the story's gate. It keeps conflicting evidence out. Listen for what people excuse. That's where their story is most fragile. Here's a deep one. Watch what someone celebrates. Celebration reveals values and identity. If someone celebrates how busy they are, their story is built on productivity. If someone celebrates how chill they are, their story is built on ease. If someone celebrates being the smartest in the room, their story is built on superiority. If someone celebrates being liked, their story is built on approval. What someone brags about, even subtly, shows you what they need to be true about themselves. And they'll protect that truth violently. Threaten someone's story, and you threaten their identity. They won't hear logic, they'll hear attack. Now let's flip it. How do you use this? If you want to influence someone, speak to their story. If someone sees themselves as a helper, ask for help. If someone sees themselves as a rebel, frame your idea as going against the norm. If someone sees themselves as smart, ask for their insight. If someone sees themselves as tough, acknowledge their resilience. You're not manipulating. You're aligning with the narrative they already believe. And when you do that, they'll trust you because you see them the way they see themselves. People don't resist ideas that fit their story. They resist ideas that threaten it. Here's the ultimate insight. Everyone is the hero of their own story. Nobody wakes up thinking they're the villain. Even people doing terrible things have a story that justifies. I had no choice. They deserved it. I'm protecting myself. If you want to understand why someone does what they do, find the story where they're the hero. Once you see it, their actions make perfect sense, not morally, but narratively. And narrative drives behavior more than morality ever will. Here's a practical move. Ask someone what's something you've always believed about yourself. Then listen. They'll hand you the key to their entire operating system. They'll tell you the core story. And once you have that, you can predict their reactions, their fears, their goals, their limits. You'll know what they'll run toward and what they'll run from. Because the story decides everything. Another question. What's a lesson you learned early in life? The answer reveals the origin of their story. I learned people will let you down creates a different life than I learned people will help you if you ask. Both lessons shape everything that comes after. Early lessons become core beliefs. Core beliefs become the story. The story becomes destiny. Unless someone rewrites it, and that's the final piece. You can't force someone to change their story, but you can offer them a new one. If you show someone evidence that contradicts their limiting story enough times, and you do it with compassion, not judgment, sometimes they'll start questioning the old narrative. Maybe I'm not unlucky. Maybe I just made some bad choices. Maybe I'm not unlovable. Maybe I just picked the wrong people. The story can shift, but only if they're ready. Only if the pain of the old story becomes greater than the fear of a new one. Your job isn't to fix people's stories, it's to read them. To see the invisible script running their life. To predict the next chapter before it's written. Because once you see someone's story, you see their future. And that's the power you're building. You're becoming someone who reads between the lines, hears the narrative beneath the noise, sees the plot everyone else misses. This is next-level reading. This is seeing the code behind the code. Start asking better questions. Start listening for the story. And watch how fast you start understanding people at a level that feels like magic. It's not magic. It's just pattern recognition. And you're getting sharper every day. Chapter 4. The masks. Everyone wears. Nobody shows you their real face right away, and if you expect them to, you'll be disappointed every single time. Everyone you meet is wearing a mask. Not because they're fake, because they're human. We all perform. We all present a version of ourselves that we think will keep us safe, liked, respected, or powerful. And your job isn't to judge the mask, it's to see through it. Because behind every mask is the real person, and that's who you need to read. The mask is the image, the person behind it is the truth. Most people spend their whole lives reacting to masks and wondering why they keep getting surprised when the mask slips. You're not going to be most people anymore. You're becoming someone who sees past the performance to the performer. Here's the first thing you need to understand. People wear masks to cover fear. Always. Confidence masks insecurity, anger masks hurt, indifference masks caring too much, humor masks pain. If someone is performing hard in one direction, the truth is usually hiding in the opposite direction. The loudest person in the room is often the most insecure. The person who brags the most usually feels the least accomplished. The person who claims they don't care often cares the most. Read the opposite of what's being shown, and you'll find what's being hidden. Let's break down the most common masks. First, the confidence mask. This person walks in like they own the place. Big gestures, loud voice, takes up space, dominates conversation. They seem unshakable. But watch closer. Are they talking over people? That's control, not confidence. Are they name-dropping or bragging? That's proving, not being. Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't need an audience. Fake confidence needs constant validation. If someone is performing confidence, they're hiding doubt. Look for the cracks. Do they get defensive when questioned? Do they avoid topics where they're not the expert? Do they need to win every conversation? That's the mask slipping. Behind it is someone terrified of being exposed as less than they appear. Next, the nice mask. This person is always agreeable, always smiling, never says no, never confronts, avoids conflict at all costs. They seem kind, sweet, harmless. But here's the truth. Niceness without boundaries isn't kindness. It's fear of rejection. People who are too nice are often hiding anger, resentment, or a desperate need to be liked. Watch what happens when they don't get their way. Does the smile stay, or does it crack? Do they go cold? Do they passive-aggressive? That's the real person leaking through. True kindness is strong. It can say no. It can disagree. It doesn't need to perform agreeableness to feel safe. If someone can't ever push back, they're wearing a mask to avoid being abandoned. Then there's the tough mask. This person shows no emotion. Nothing hurts them. Nothing touches them. They pride themselves on being hard, strong, unbothered. But toughness that never bends is brittle. It's a shield over sensitivity. The person who says, "I don't care what anyone thinks," usually cares the most. They built the armor because something hurt them deeply. Watch for when they overreact to small things. That's the sensitivity leaking. Watch for when they mock vulnerability in others. That's them rejecting the part of themselves they buried. Behind the tough mask is often someone who's afraid that if they soften even a little, they'll shatter completely. The humor mask is common and tricky. This person jokes about everything, deflects with laughter, can't have a serious conversation without turning it into a bit. They seem fun, easygoing, the life of the party. But humor is often a defense mechanism. If you can make people laugh, they won't look closer. If everything is a joke, nothing can hurt you. Watch what they joke about most. That's usually where the pain lives. Self-deprecating humor, low self-worth hiding behind comedy. Dark humor, processing trauma through jokes. If someone can never be serious, they're protecting something serious. Try to go deep with them and watch them deflect. That's the mask doing its job. There's the busy mask. This person is always doing something. No time to stop, no time to think. Always working, moving, producing. They wear exhaustion like a badge. But constant busyness is often avoidance. If you never stop, you never have to feel. If you never sit still, you never have to face what's actually happening inside. Behind the busy mask is usually someone running from themselves. Watch what they're avoiding. Rest, relationships, emotions. Whatever they won't make time for is what they're scared of. And here's the intellectual mask. This person lives in their head. Everything is logic, analysis, facts, debate. Emotions are weakness. Feelings are irrational. They seem smart, controlled, above the messiness of human emotion. But intellect without emotion isn't wisdom. It's disconnection. People who over-rely on logic are often afraid of feeling. Behind the intellectual mask is someone who got hurt by emotions and decided thinking was safer than feeling. Watch for when they can't connect, when they analyze instead of empathize, when they correct instead of comfort. That's the mask keeping them isolated. So how do you see through masks? First, look for inconsistencies. When someone's words don't match their body language, believe the body. When someone's actions don't match their claims, believe the actions. Masks are maintained verbally. Truth leaks physically. Second, watch for what someone avoids. The topics they skip, the questions they dodge, the emotions they won't touch. Avoidance points to the wound. Whatever someone won't go near is exactly where the real person is hiding. Third, notice when the mask slips. Everyone drops it eventually. In moments of stress, surprise, anger, or exhaustion, the real person flashes through. Catch those moments. That's the truth. Someone who's always calm suddenly snaps. Someone who's always nice suddenly goes cold. Someone who's always funny suddenly goes dark. Those slips aren't anomalies. They're the real person breaking through the performance. Here's the most important thing. Once you see someone's mask, don't call it out harshly. People wear masks because they feel unsafe without them. If you rip the mask off, they'll either put up a bigger one or shut you out completely. Instead, create safety. Show them they don't need the mask with you. Be consistent, be trustworthy, be non-judgmental. Over time, if they feel safe, the mask will lower on its own. And that's when real connection happens. That's when you see the person, not the performance. You're not here to expose people. You're here to understand them, to see past what they show to who they actually are. That's the power you're building. The ability to read underneath, to see the fear driving the facade, to understand that everyone is protecting something. And once you see what they're protecting, you see them completely. That's who you're becoming. Someone who doesn't get fooled by masks, someone who sees the human behind the armor. Start looking today. Everyone around you is performing something. Your job is to watch the performance and ask, what are they hiding? Answer that and you'll know them better than they know themselves. Chapter 5. The questions that reveal everything. Most people ask questions to get answers, but you're about to learn something more powerful. How to ask questions that expose truth. Bypass lies and unlock people's hidden thoughts without them even realizing what just happened. The right question at the right moment can crack someone wide open. The wrong question gets you a rehearsed answer that tells you nothing. You're becoming someone who knows the difference. Someone who asks questions that cut through stories, excuses, and performances straight to the core. Here's what most people don't understand. Questions are tools, and like any tool, they only work if you use them correctly. A hammer can build or destroy depending on how you swing it. Questions are the same. Ask open questions and people reveal. Ask closed questions and people hide. Ask leading questions and people tell you what you want to hear. Ask neutral questions and people tell you what they actually think. Your job is to know which tool to use and when. Start with open-ended questions because these give people room to talk. And when people talk, they leak. What happened is better than, did you do it? How are you feeling about this? Is better than, are you okay? Open questions can't be answered with yes or no. They require explanation. And in explanation, people reveal patterns, priorities, emotions, and truth. They also reveal lies because lies require more words, more details, more construction. Truth is simple. Lies are complicated. Give someone space to talk and watch what they build. Here's the key. After you ask an open question, shut up. Don't fill the silence. Don't rush to the next question. Let them sit in the space. Most people are so uncomfortable with silence that they'll keep talking just to fill it. And the second or third thing they say is usually more honest than the first. The first answer is the mask. The second answer is the person. If you ask, how do you feel about what happened? And they say, I'm fine, don't accept it. Stay quiet. Let the silence press on them. Watch them squirm. Then they'll add something. I mean, it's whatever. I guess it bothered me a little. There's the truth. It bothered them. The silence pulled it out. Use silence like a vacuum. It sucks truth out of people who can't stand the pressure of quiet. Now let's talk about specific questions that reveal everything. If you want to know if someone is lying about an event, ask them to tell the story backward. Liars construct stories forward because that's how stories are built, beginning, middle, end. But memory doesn't work that way. Real memories are non-linear. You can access them from any point. So if you say, "Tell me what happened," but start from the end and go backward, a truth teller can do it. A liar will struggle, stumble, or get details wrong because they memorize the script forward. Backward breaks the script. If you want to know what someone values, ask, if you could only keep 3 things in your life, what would they be? People reveal priority instantly. If they say family, health, freedom, you know their values. If they say money, status, success, you know their values. Neither is wrong, but both tell you exactly who you're dealing with. People protect what they value, threaten what they value, and you'll see their real reaction. If you want to know if someone feels guilty, ask, what do you think should happen to the person who did this? Guilty people will suggest lighter consequences. They're subconsciously negotiating their own punishment. Innocent people will suggest harsher consequences because they have no personal stake. If you ask someone what should happen to a thief and they say, "Well, everyone makes mistakes, maybe just a warning," consider the possibility they've stolen something. Their answer is self-protection disguised as empathy. If you want to know someone's self-image, ask, how do you think other people see you? The gap between how they see themselves and how they think others see them reveals insecurity, arrogance, or clarity. If someone says, "People probably think I'm confident, but I'm actually really insecure," they just told you their truth and their mask in one sentence. If someone says, "People see me exactly as I am," they're either deeply self-aware or completely delusional. Context will tell you which. If you want to know if someone is hiding something, ask an unexpected question in the middle of a conversation. "What did you have for breakfast?" Seems random, but watch their reaction. If they're lying about something big, the random question will throw them off. They're so focused on maintaining the lie that a curveball confuses them. They'll pause too long, seem annoyed, or give a weirdly detailed answer. Truth tellers answer random questions smoothly because they're not cognitively loaded. Liars are already using brain power to maintain the story, so any extra question overloads them. Here's a brutal one. If you want to know how someone really feels about you, ask them what they think your biggest flaw is. How they answer tells you everything. If they hesitate and sugarcoat it, they care about your feelings. If they answer instantly and harshly, they've been thinking about it, and they're either brutally honest or they resent you. If they say, "I don't think you have any flaws," they're lying to protect themselves or the relationship. Everyone has flaws. Denying them means they don't feel safe being honest with you, which means the relationship is surface level. If you want to test loyalty, ask someone to choose between you and something else hypothetically. If you had to pick between helping me or advancing your career, what would you do? The answer might be uncomfortable, but it's honest, and honesty is more valuable than comfort. People who dodge the question aren't loyal. They just don't want to admit it. People who answer directly, even if the answer isn't what you want, are showing you respect. Respect the honesty even if it stings. Here's one people hate but need. What are you not telling me? This question assumes hidden information, and assumption creates pressure. If there's nothing hidden, they'll confidently say so. If there is something, they'll stumble, deflect, or get defensive. Defensiveness is always a tell. Innocent people don't get defensive. They get confused or curious. Guilty people get loud. Another power move. Ask the same question twice in different ways at different times. If the story changes, you've caught a lie. Truth stays consistent because it's memory. Lies shift because they're invention. If someone tells you they were at the store at 6, then later you casually ask, "So what time did you leave the store?" And they say 7. But the first story said they left at 6:30, you've got a contradiction. Point it out calmly. Earlier you said 6:30, now you're saying 7. Which is it? Watch them scramble. Here's the ultimate question for reading someone's character. Tell me about a time you failed. How they answer reveals if they take responsibility, blame others, learn from mistakes, or live in denial. If they can't think of a failure, they're either lying or lack self-awareness. Everyone fails. How someone frames failure shows you if they're a victim, a learner, or a denier. Learners grow. Victims stay stuck. Deniers are dangerous because they never see their role in problems. You're not asking questions to trap people. You're asking questions to see truth, to understand who you're dealing with, to make better decisions about trust, relationships, and connections. Questions are scalpels. Use them carefully, use them wisely, and watch how fast people reveal themselves when you know what to ask and how to listen. Start asking better questions today. Every conversation is a chance to see deeper, and you're becoming someone who sees everything. Chapter 6. The Power of Context. You can read body language perfectly, decode every word, ask brilliant questions, and still get it completely wrong if you ignore one thing: context. Context is everything. It's the difference between reading someone accurately and making a fool of yourself. A crossed arm doesn't always mean defensive. Maybe they're cold. Abby eye contact doesn't always mean lying. Maybe they have social anxiety. A smile doesn't always mean happy. Maybe it's polite or nervous or trained. Without context, you're guessing. With context, you're reading. And you're about to learn how to use context like a weapon. Here's the rule: never judge a single behavior in isolation. Always ask yourself 3 questions. Where are we? What just happened? What's normal for this person? Location matters. Someone fidgeting in a job interview is nervous about the interview. Someone fidgeting at a casual coffee shop might be bored or have ADHD or need to pee. Same behavior, different meaning. If you're reading someone in their home, they're more relaxed and authentic. In a professional setting, they're performing. At a party, they're social masking. In a crisis, they're survival mode. Every environment has unwritten rules that shape behavior. Your job is to know the environment before you read the person. A guy touching his face during a sales pitch might be lying. A guy touching his face during allergy season might just be itchy. Context separates insight from assumption. What just happened before the behavior also changes everything. If someone crosses their arms right after you criticize them, that's defensiveness. If they crossed their arms before you even spoke, that's just comfortable. Timing reveals cause. If someone's voice gets louder after you challenge them, that's emotional activation. If their voice was already loud when they walked in, that's just their baseline. You have to track the sequence. Behavior plus trigger equals meaning. Behavior without trigger is just noise. Here's the move. When you notice a behavior, rewind 30 seconds in your mind. What was said? What happened? What changed in the environment? The answer will tell you why the behavior appeared. If you skip this step, you'll misread people constantly and wonder why your gut is always wrong. Your gut isn't wrong. Your context is missing. Now let's talk about personal context, because every human comes with a history you don't see. Someone who flinches when you raise your voice might have trauma. Someone who avoids eye contact might come from a culture where direct eye contact is disrespectful. Someone who stands far away might have personal space issues, or might have been taught that closeness is invasive. You can't read people without considering culture, upbringing, mental health, past experiences, and personality type. Introverts behave differently than extroverts. Anxious people behave differently than calm people. Neurodivergent people behave differently than neurotypical people. If you judge everyone by the same standard, you'll be wrong most of the time. Here's how to handle this. Observe baseline first, always. Spend time with someone in a neutral setting before you try to read their stress signals. What's their normal? How do they usually talk, move, gesture, make eye contact? Lock that in. Then when something changes, you'll know it's significant. But if you meet someone once and try to read them without baseline, you're just projecting your assumptions onto a stranger. That's not reading. That's guessing. Let's go situational. Someone acting confident in their area of expertise isn't faking confidence. They actually have it. The same person acting confident in an area they know nothing about is faking it. Context flips the read. Someone being quiet at a loud concert is normal. Someone being quiet at a dinner table with 3 people is a signal. Always compare the behavior to what the situation calls for. If someone is doing what's expected, it's probably genuine. If they're doing the opposite of what's expected, pay attention. That's deviation, and deviation is data. Here's a context most people ignore. Relationships. How someone acts with you versus how they act with others tells you about your relationship, not their personality. If someone is warm with everyone but cold with you, that's personal. If someone is cold with everyone, that's just them. If someone is generous with others but stingy with you, you're not valued. If someone is stingy with everyone, they're just protective of resources. Behavior in relationship context reveals hierarchy, trust, and value. Watch how someone treats people they don't need to impress. Waiters, janitors, assistants. That's character. How they treat people they want something from. That's performance. Compare the two and you'll see who they really are. Another massive context: stakes. Low-stakes situations show you personality. High-stakes situations show you character. Someone might be calm and kind when nothing matters, but put them under pressure, deadlines, conflict, money problems, emergencies, and watch what happens. Do they stay calm or fall apart? Do they help or run? Do they blame or solve? High stakes strip the mask. If you want to know who someone really is, watch them when something is on the line. That's context at its most revealing. Here's emotional context. Someone crying might be sad, but they also might be angry, frustrated, relieved, or overwhelmed. Tears don't have one meaning. You need the situation. If someone cries after a loss, that's grief. If someone cries after winning, that's release. If someone cries during an argument, that could be manipulation, or it could be genuine hurt. You can't know unless you look at what led to the tears. Same with anger. Someone yelling might be aggressive, or they might be scared and using volume as a shield. Someone silent might be calm, or they might be shutting down to avoid exploding. Emotions have layers. Context peels them back. Here's the hack. When you're unsure, ask, "Hey, I noticed you got quiet. Is everything okay, or do you just need space?" Asking clarifies context instantly. Most people are afraid to ask because they think it's intrusive, but it's actually respectful. You're not assuming, you're checking. And people appreciate being asked instead of being misread. Here's physical context. Someone sweating might be nervous, or the room might just be hot. Someone shaking might be scared, or they might have low blood sugar. Someone yawning might be bored, or they might have been up all night with a sick kid. Physical symptoms need medical and environmental context before you jump to psychological conclusions. Don't diagnose anxiety when the answer might just be caffeine. Now here's the context people forget. You. Your presence changes how people behave. If you're intimidating, people will be guarded. If you're warm, people will open up. If you're judgmental, people will hide. If you're safe, people will reveal. You are part of the context. How someone acts around you is partially about them and partially about how you make them feel. If everyone is tense around you, the problem might be you. Self-awareness is context too. Check yourself before you read others. Here's the truth. Context doesn't make reading harder. It makes it accurate. Without context, you're just collecting signals and guessing what they mean. With context, every signal has meaning. Every behavior has a cause. Every reaction makes sense. You're not reading in a vacuum. You're reading in the real world, where everything connects. So stop isolating behaviors. Start connecting dots. Ask where, when, why, who. Build the full picture before you draw conclusions. That's how you go from guessing to knowing. That's how you read people like a book, instead of like a single sentence ripped out of context. This is the upgrade. This is the skill. And you're mastering it right now. Chapter 7. The energy people carry. Before someone says a word, before they move a muscle, they're already telling you everything through something most people can't name, but everyone can feel. Energy. You walk into a room and instantly know something is off. You meet someone and immediately feel uncomfortable. You stand next to a stranger and feel calm. That's not magic. That's not mystical. That's energy, and it's as real as body language. Every human being broadcasts a signal, a vibe, a frequency, and your body picks it up before your brain does. Most people ignore it. You're not going to anymore. You're becoming someone who reads energy the way others read words. Here's what energy actually is. It's the sum of someone's emotional state, intentions, stress levels, and presence all radiating outward through micro-expressions, posture, breath, tone, and 100 tiny signals your subconscious picks up instantly. Scientists call it thin slicing. Your brain processing massive amounts of data in milliseconds and delivering a gut feeling. That gut feeling is you reading energy. And it's almost never wrong. The problem is, most people second-guess it. They feel something off, but talk themselves out of it. I'm probably just paranoid. They seem nice. I'm overthinking. No, you felt it because it's real. Stop ignoring your body's alarm system. It's trying to protect you. Trust the feeling. Then investigate why you're feeling it. Energy comes in two forms: calm or chaos. Calm energy feels grounded, steady, safe. You relax around it. Chaos energy feels erratic, tense, unpredictable. You tighten up around it. Neither is good or bad in all situations. Calm can be peace, or it can be numbness. Chaos can be danger, or it can be passion. But you always feel the difference. Someone with calm energy walks into a room, and the room settles. Their presence lowers blood pressure. You breathe easier. They don't demand attention. They don't need to prove anything. They're simply there, and that's enough. Calm energy is confidence without performance. It's someone who has nothing to hide and nothing to protect. When you meet this person, you'll feel it in your chest. A loosening. A trust you can't explain. That's real calm energy. Chaos energy does the opposite. The room tightens. Conversations get louder or quieter. People shift. This person might be charming, funny, interesting, but underneath there's static. Your nervous system picks it up. You feel like you need to manage them. Watch your words. Stay alert. Chaos energy is unresolved tension radiating outward. It's someone at war with themselves, and you're feeling the shockwave. Here's how to identify it in real time. Check your body. Are your shoulders relaxed or tense? Is your breathing deep or shallow? Do you feel open or guarded? Your body is a radar. It detects energy faster than your mind can process it. If you walk into a room and your chest tightens, someone in that room is carrying heavy energy. If you sit next to someone and your jaw clenches, their energy is aggressive or stressed. If you talk to someone and you suddenly feel drained afterward, they're an energy vampire. They take more than they give. Your body knows. Listen to it. Now let's talk about specific energy types. There's anxious energy. This person is vibrating. Even when they're sitting still, they feel like they're moving. They talk fast, laugh nervously, fidget constantly. Their energy is exhausting because it never settles. Being around anxious energy makes you anxious. It's contagious. If you don't ground yourself, you'll match their frequency and leave the conversation feeling wired and overwhelmed. Anxious energy isn't bad. It just means someone is afraid. Afraid of judgment, rejection, failure, or not being enough. Recognize it. Don't absorb it. Then there's heavy energy. This person feels like a weight. They walk in and the air gets thick. Conversations feel like work. Even when they're smiling, something is dragging. Heavy energy is unprocessed pain, grief, depression, resentment, hopelessness. It pulls everything down. If you're empathetic, heavy energy will sink into you, and you'll carry it home. You'll feel sad and not know why. That's because you absorbed someone else's emotional state. Learn to recognize heavy energy and protect yourself. You can be compassionate without becoming a sponge. There's aggressive energy. This person feels like a threat, even if they're being polite. The energy is sharp, confrontational, dominant. Your body goes into defense mode. Your heart rate increases. You feel like you're in danger even though nothing has happened yet. Aggressive energy is someone ready to fight. It might be suppressed anger. It might be a need to dominate. It might be insecurity masked as power. Whatever it is, your nervous system knows it's not safe. Don't ignore that signal. Aggressive energy will escalate if challenged. If you feel it, stay calm, keep boundaries, and exit when you can. There's magnetic energy. This person draws you in. You want to be near them, listen to them, follow them. Magnetic energy is presence plus intention. It's someone who knows who they are and isn't apologizing for it. Charisma is magnetic energy. But here's the warning. Magnetic energy can be used for good or manipulation. Cult leaders have magnetic energy. So do great teachers. The energy itself is neutral. The intention behind it decides if it's safe or dangerous. If someone's magnetic energy makes you feel elevated, inspired, empowered, it's healthy. If it makes you feel dependent, small, or like you need their approval, it's manipulative. Check the effect, not just the attraction. There's cold energy. This person feels distant, detached, unreachable. You can't connect no matter how hard you try. It's like talking to a wall. Cold energy is protection. It's someone who shut down emotionally to avoid pain. They might be polite, functional, even successful. But there's no warmth, no openness. Cold energy keeps people at arm's length. If you feel it, don't take it personally. It's not about you. It's about what they've survived and how they learned to survive it. There's warm energy. This person feels like home. You relax immediately. They're safe, open, present. You feel seen and heard without having to perform. Warm energy is rare because it requires vulnerability and strength at the same time. It's someone who's done their inner work and isn't afraid to let people in. If you find warm energy, protect it. Those people are treasures. Here's the move. Match energy strategically. If someone brings calm, match calm. If someone brings chaos, don't match it. Ground it. You become the calm that stabilizes their chaos. If someone brings warmth, reflect it back. If someone brings cold, don't try to melt it with force. Just stay warm and give them space. Energy matching builds rapport. Energy grounding creates safety. Energy reflecting deepens connection. Learn when to do which. Here's what most people miss. Your energy affects others too. You're not just reading energy, you're broadcasting it. What are you putting out? Are you calm or anxious? Are you open or guarded? Are you warm or cold? If you want to read people clearly, clean up your own energy first. Because if you're broadcasting chaos, you'll attract chaos. If you're broadcasting calm, you'll attract calm. Energy is a two-way street. Control yours and you'll influence theirs. Now here's the practice. Walk into a room tomorrow and feel it before you analyze it. What's the energy? Heavy, light, tense, joyful? Just feel. Then notice who's contributing what. Who's the calm one? Who's the chaos? Who's radiating warmth? Who's sucking energy? You'll start seeing the invisible architecture of every social space. You'll know who to move toward and who to avoid. That's power. That's clarity. You're becoming someone who reads what others can't see, but everyone feels. Energy is the language beneath language. And now you speak it fluently. Chapter 8. The lies people believe. The biggest lies you'll ever encounter aren't the ones people tell you. They're the ones people tell themselves. And if you can spot someone's self-deception, you can predict their entire life. Because people don't just lie to protect themselves from you. They lie to protect themselves from reality. And those lies shape everything: their choices, their relationships, their success, their suffering. Most people are walking around in a dream they refuse to wake up from. Your job is to see the dream while they're still sleeping. Here's the truth. Everyone lies to themselves about something. The person who says they're fine when they're falling apart. The person who says they'll start tomorrow when they mean never. The person who says they don't care when it's all they think about. Self-deception is survival. It's how people avoid pain they're not ready to face. And it's also how they stay stuck forever. You're about to learn how to see through it. First, listen for the gap between words and actions. If someone says they value health but eats garbage and never exercises, they're lying to themselves. If someone says family is everything but works 80 hours a week and misses every event, they're lying to themselves. If someone says they want a relationship but sabotages every connection, they're lying to themselves. Words are easy. Actions are truth. When words and actions don't match, the lie is in the words. Always believe the action. It's what someone actually values, not what they wish they valued. Here's a massive tell. Repeated patterns with different explanations. If someone keeps getting fired and blames a different boss every time, they're lying to themselves about being the problem. If someone keeps getting cheated on and blames a different partner every time, they're lying to themselves about their picker or their boundaries. If someone keeps failing at the same goal and has a new excuse each time, they're lying to themselves about their commitment. Patterns don't lie. Explanations do. When you see the same outcome with different stories, the constant is the person, not the circumstances. They just won't admit it. Listen for victim language because it's the clearest sign of self-deception. Things just happen to me. I never get lucky. Everyone else has it easier. Life isn't fair to me. This is someone who refuses to see their role in their results. They've built an identity around powerlessness because powerlessness means they don't have to change. If life is happening to them, they're off the hook. If they admitted life is responding to them, they'd have to take responsibility. That's terrifying. So they lie. They stay the victim. And they stay stuck. Here's another one, the someday lie. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll leave this job. Someday I'll get in shape. Someday is the graveyard of dreams. It's where people bury intentions they never plan to execute. If someone has been saying someday for years, they're lying to themselves about wanting it. If they wanted it, they'd be doing it. Someday is comfort. It lets you feel like you have goals without the discomfort of pursuing them. When you hear someday, translate it to never, and you'll be right 90% of the time. Watch for the I'm different lie. I know everyone else fails at this, but I'll be different. I know this relationship has red flags, but it'll be different with me. I know this shortcut didn't work for others, but it'll work for me. This is magical thinking. It's ego convincing someone that rules don't apply to them. And it's a setup for failure. People aren't different. Patterns repeat. If something didn't work for 100 people before you, it probably won't work for you either unless you do something drastically different. But people don't want to hear that. So they lie to themselves and learn the hard way. There's the I don't need help lie. This person refuses support, advice, or assistance. They'll struggle alone, fail alone, and suffer alone because asking for help feels like weakness. But refusing help isn't strength. It's pride disguised as independence. People who can't ask for help are lying to themselves about their limits. They'd rather fail than admit they're human. And that lie costs them years. Then there's the I'm fine lie, the most common and most dangerous. This person is drowning but smiling, exhausted but pushing, broken but functional. They've convinced themselves that admitting struggle is failure, so they perform fine until they collapse. When someone says, I'm fine in a flat tone with tired eyes and slumped shoulders, they're lying. Not to you, to themselves. They can't admit they're not okay because not okay feels like giving up. So they lie until their body forces the truth. Here's the lie you need to catch fast. I'll change after this. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll relax after this project. I'll focus on my health after the holidays. This is the delay lie. It's someone believing that circumstances have to change before they can change. But it's backwards. You change, then circumstances change. Waiting for perfect conditions is waiting forever. If someone keeps moving the goalpost for when they'll start living, they're lying to themselves about readiness. They're ready now. They're just scared. Here's how you use this knowledge. When you spot someone's self-deception, you see their prison. The lie is the bars. And until they see the lie, they can't escape. You can't force someone to wake up. But you can stop participating in their delusion. Don't validate lies. Don't agree when someone blames everyone else. Don't nod when someone says someday. Gently reflect reality. You've been saying that for 2 years. What's really stopping you? Sometimes that's enough to crack the illusion, sometimes it's not. Either way, you've done your part. You're becoming someone who sees truth even when others are hiding from it. Someone who doesn't get pulled into delusions. Someone who lives in reality and helps others find it too. That's power. That's clarity. And it starts by recognizing the lies you've told yourself. Because you can't read others clearly if you're lying to yourself. Clean up your own deceptions first. Then you'll see everyone else's perfectly. Chapter 9. The moment everything changes. There's a split second in every interaction where everything shifts. One moment you're strangers, the next you're connected. One moment someone trusts you, the next they don't. One moment they're open, the next they're closed. Most people miss this moment completely. They don't see it coming and don't notice when it's gone. But you're about to learn how to catch it. Because the moment everything changes is the moment you have the most power. And once you learn to see it, you'll control conversations, relationships, and outcomes. Most people stumble through, blind. Here's what the moment looks like. It's subtle. A micro shift in energy. A slight change in posture. A pause that lasts half a second too long. Eyes that were warm suddenly go flat. A smile that was real suddenly becomes forced. The moment is barely visible, but it's everything. It's when trust breaks, when interest dies, when someone decides about you. And if you're not watching, you'll keep talking while the door closes in your face. The moment happens for a reason. Always. Something triggered it. A word you said, a tone you used, a question you asked, a boundary you crossed, a lie you told, a truth you revealed. Something landed wrong, and the other person felt it. Their nervous system registered danger, discomfort, or disappointment. And they pulled back. Not dramatically, just enough. But enough is everything. Here's how to catch it. Watch the eyes. Eyes are the fastest betrayers. Someone is engaged, then suddenly their eyes dull. The light goes out. They're still looking at you, but they're not seeing you anymore. They checked out. That's the moment. Stop talking. Rewind. What did you just say? That's your trigger. Here's another sign. The lean. Someone is leaning toward you, then they lean back. Physical distance is emotional distance. If someone pulls their body away, even slightly, you lost them. The moment just passed. They were open. Now they're evaluating or rejecting. Figure out why fast or the conversation is over, even if you keep talking. Watch the smile. A real smile involves the whole face. But in the moment everything changes, the smile stays but the eyes die. It becomes a polite mask. They're not happy anymore. They're managing you, tolerating you, waiting for an exit. That shift from genuine to performance is the moment. Catch it or waste your time. Listen for the tone shift. Someone's voice was warm, engaged, animated. Then it flattens, goes monotone, loses energy. That's the moment their interest died. Maybe you talked too long. Maybe you bragged. Maybe you said something that revealed a value mismatch. Whatever it was, they're done. The conversation is now a transaction they're trying to end politely. Here's the brutal truth. Most people cause the moment and never realize it. They keep talking, thinking everything is fine, while the other person is mentally gone. Then they wonder why they didn't get the job, the date, the deal, the connection. You didn't lose it at the end. You lost it in the moment. And you missed it. So here's what you do when you catch the moment. Stop immediately. Don't keep pushing. Don't keep talking. Don't try to convince. Stop. Acknowledge the shift. And not directly but strategically. You can say something like, I feel like I just lost you. Did I say something wrong? Or, you got quiet. What are you thinking? This does two things. First, it shows you're aware. Most people aren't. Awareness builds respect. Second, it gives them permission to be honest. And sometimes honesty saves the interaction. They might say, no, I'm just processing. Okay, give them space. Or they might say, actually, yeah, that comment bothered me. Now you can address it. You've reopened the door. But if you ignore the moment and keep going, the door stays closed. Here's the power move. Prevent the moment before it happens. How? By reading the person first. Know their boundaries. Know their triggers. Know their values. If you've been paying attention this whole time, reading body language, tone, energy, story, you'll know what not to say. You'll know what not to do. You'll navigate the conversation without setting off landmines. That's mastery. Not just catching the moment, but never creating it. And when the moment happens despite your best efforts, because sometimes it will, you catch it fast, address it, and either recover or gracefully exit. You don't waste time on a dead conversation. You respect the shift and move on. Here's what you're becoming. Someone who sees the invisible turning points in every human interaction. Someone who feels the energy shift before words confirm it. Someone who knows when they're winning and when they're losing in real time. That's not manipulation, that's awareness, that's skill. And it changes everything. Because life isn't decided by the big moments, it's decided by the small ones. The split second when trust forms or breaks. The instant when someone decides you're worth their time or not. The moment everything changes. You're learning to see it. Now learn to master it. Chapter 10. Becoming unreadable. You've learned to read everyone else. Now it's time to learn the final skill. Controlling what people read in you, because the most powerful position isn't just seeing through others. It's deciding what they see when they look at you. You're becoming someone who reads perfectly and reveals strategically. Someone who controls their signals, manages their energy, and chooses exactly what to broadcast. This is the master level. This is where reading people becomes influencing people. And it starts with one truth. Everything you've learned about reading others, they can use to read you. Every signal you've studied, you're also sending. Your body language is confessing. Your voice is leaking. Your energy is broadcasting. And whether you know it or not, people are reading you right now. The question is, what are they reading? Here's how you take control. Start with your body. Eliminate nervous tells. Stop fidgeting. Stop touching your face. Stop shifting weight. Stop looking away when you speak. These are all signs of discomfort, dishonesty, or insecurity. If you want to appear confident and trustworthy, your body has to stay calm and controlled. Practice stillness. Sit without moving for 5 minutes. Stand without swaying. Hold eye contact without breaking. Stillness communicates confidence. Movement communicates anxiety. Master stillness and you control the first impression. Control your face. Your expressions leak everything. Practice a neutral face in the mirror. Not cold, not angry, just calm and present. Then practice shifting intentionally. Smile when you want warmth. Furrow your brow when you want concern. Raise your eyebrows when you want curiosity. Every expression should be a choice, not a reflex. When you control your face, people can't read your emotions unless you let them. That's power. Control your voice. Eliminate filler words. Stop saying like. Speak in complete sentences with pauses instead of fillers. Pauses make you sound thoughtful. Fillers make you sound uncertain. Lower your pitch slightly. Higher pitch signals stress. Lower pitch signals calm. Slow your pace. Fast talking signals nervousness. Slow talking signals control. When you control your voice, people believe you even when you're unsure. Control your energy. Before you walk into any room, decide what energy you want to bring. Calm, bring deep breaths and grounded posture. Confident, bring steady eye contact and open gestures. Warm, bring a soft smile and relaxed shoulders. Your energy is a choice. Most people let their emotions control their energy. You're going to control your emotions by controlling your energy first. Breathe deep, stand tall, relax your face. Your body will follow, your emotions will follow, and everyone around you will feel exactly what you want them to feel. Here's the strategic part. Reveal selectively. You don't have to hide everything. In fact, hiding everything makes you seem robotic or untrustworthy. Instead, choose what to reveal and when. Want someone to trust you? Reveal a small vulnerability. It creates connection without giving away power. Want someone to respect you? Reveal competence through calm answers and steady energy. Want someone to back off? Reveal nothing. Stay neutral. Stay distant. Reveal only what serves your goal. Now here's the test. Can you lie without leaking? Most people can't. Their body betrays them. But you've studied the leaks, so you know what not to do. Don't touch your face. Don't break eye contact. Don't speed up your speech. Don't over-explain. If you must lie, keep it simple. Say it once. Say it calmly. Then stop talking. The less you say, the less you leak. But here's the real power move. Don't lie. Just control what you share. There's a difference between lying and withholding. You don't owe everyone your truth. You don't owe everyone access. You can be honest and still be unreadable by simply not volunteering information. Answer what's asked. Nothing more. Stay calm, stay controlled. And let people wonder. Because mystery is magnetic. When people can't read you fully, they stay interested. They keep trying. They project onto you what they want to see. And that gives you even more power. You're not hiding. You're not performing. You're just choosing. Choosing what to show. Choosing what to say. Choosing what energy to bring. And that choice is the difference between being read and being respected. This is mastery. This is control. And now you have both. You can read anyone like a book. And you've become a book only the worthy get to read. You made it. You're still here. And that means something. Most people quit before they finish. Most people hear the truth and walk away because it's uncomfortable. But you didn't. You stayed. You listened. You learned. And now you're different. You're not the same person who started this audiobook. You see things now that you couldn't see before. You notice the pause before someone answers. You catch the micro-expression that flashes for half a second. You feel the energy shift when someone lies. You hear the story underneath the words. You read people the way most people read signs on the highway. Automatically, instantly, accurately. This isn't a superpower, this is awareness. This is you finally paying attention to what was always there, and now that you have it, you can't unsee it. You'll walk into rooms differently. You'll handle conversations differently. You'll choose people differently. Because you're not guessing anymore. You're reading. And reading is power. But here's the thing. This skill gets sharper the more you use it. Every conversation is practice. Every person is a test. Every interaction is a chance to get better. So don't stop here. Keep watching, keep listening, keep reading. You're becoming someone rare. Someone who sees truth when everyone else sees performance. Someone who understands people better than they understand themselves. And that's not just useful, that's life-changing. If this audiobook gave you even one insight, one tool, one moment of clarity, do me a favor, share it. Not because I need you to, because someone else needs what you just learned. Someone in your life is struggling to read people. Someone is getting lied to and doesn't know it. Someone is trusting the wrong person or doubting the right one. And you can help them by sharing this. Drop a comment below and tell me which chapter hit you the hardest. Was it the body language, the voice, the masks, the energy? I want to know what clicked for you. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Because this is just the beginning. There's more coming. More tools, more insights, more ways to see through the noise and get to the truth. Hit that like button if this was worth your time. Share it with someone who needs it. And keep sharpening this skill because the world needs more people who see clearly. You're one of them now. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying. Thank you for becoming someone who reads people like a book. Now go use it. Go see the truth. Go trust your gut. Go protect yourself from lies and connect with the real ones. You've got the tools. You've got the skill. Now go change your life with it. I'll see you in the next one.